Okay, the good word is that Canelo Alvarez will pursue Crawford fight in 2026. You already got Benavidez, Golden Boy, talking about taking the Cinco de Mayo day with Gilberto Ramirez and David Benavidez, right? Also, you got, it was kind of being said that, Bud was trying to fight him, but he don't want to fight Bud. He was trying to fight the winner of Eubanks and Ben. And he said, he won. He wasn't interested. Of course, he wasn't. Pussy. When it's a hard fight, it's about a title. Whatever the guy don't bring. If it's a hard fight, he bring a title. It's about the money. If it's a hard fight and they bring the money, well, it's really about the title. They find any way to avoid those type of fights. But I mean, shit. At the end of the day, he got pride too. He got pride. They probably gonna, work with some people behind the scenes and try to do something different. But I would tell him what he need to do different. You got to utilize the jab. But then when you Canelo Alvarez, you ain't never had a great gas tank. A jab, you throw a jab and you throw it with conviction. That's why a lot of people don't like the jab, because you got to have good condition to throw a jab all night. Because think about it, you throw a jab, if you've seen Clarissa Shields teaching Shannon Sharp to throw a jab, you got to step into it. Whatever jab you throwing, especially if you really step into it like a power jab, like Triple G would throw a Crawford through versus Errol Spence. Like, Triple G and Crawford is really the standard that I could think of right now. He's talking about coming back, Triple G. They're really the standard on jabs. They can throw pepper jabs, they can throw power jabs, they'll counter with a jab. You know what I'm saying? They just got they got a jab for the occasion. And that's kind of what Canelo got to develop. He got to develop a jab, whether it's a power jab, whether it's a spear jab, a flickering jab, a peppering jab, a rain. He probably need all those type of jabs versus Terence Crawford, and you got to stick to it. If you fight a guy like Crawford and you don't jab, I mean, you ain't gonna win. You fight a guy like Mayweather and you don't jab, you're not gonna win. I mean, even a guy like Thomas Hearn, he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, he jabbed and he still lost. He had a jab in one of the meanest left hooks ever. So it's some guys that's just so great. Some guys that's just so fantastic that you just need, but I think it started with a jab. And obviously if you're gonna jab with the intention that you need the jab, well, even when it seemed like you about to get them out of there, you can't forget about the jab. You gotta have the condition in the jab. You gotta have the mindset to jab. And when you don't have, especially when you don't have the feet or the athleticism, you gotta jab. You ain't gonna beat guys like that leading off of hooks. The jab make them think. If I worry about you walking in and you ain't throwing a jab, like I'm gonna, most guys gonna kill you. Just think about Roy Jones and Montel Griffin won. Montel was killing Roy, honestly. It was with a jab. He would jab to Roy's chest. It was just with a jab. That's the starter kit for everybody. When you really get that jab going to the solar plex, going through the stomach, when you really in the bag with the jab, you can change range with it, you can feint with it, you can hook off with it. You know what I'm saying? When you really in your bag with your jab, the jab set up, like for most fighters, to set up everything. So I equate it to a layup. Back in the day, we used to do the layup line to get you warmed up. Once you see a couple layups go in, then the jump shots start falling. So if he ain't going to jab, if he ain't going to prove his conditioning, and kind of a red flag, even though I pick Canelo to win that fight, I usually go with the bigger man, especially in extreme weight jumps like that. But even when I heard him, he was trying to be a little bit more thinner for the fight. Why are you accommodating a smaller fighter? That's when the red flag went in my head. It wasn't him sparring Jerron Ennis. No. When he said he was coming in a little bit skinnier or thinner, I said, why are you conforming to the smaller guy? That's when the red flag went off my head, honestly. When I heard that report, he want to be a little bit thinner. Why are you trying to match speed? You ain't going to be faster than him. Anytime your opponent started to do things to accommodate you, that's a problem. Oh, I got to be a little bit faster. I got to come in a little bit bigger. You know, you have a mental edge. See, you know, in other sports, what they tend to do, they break your film down and see where you're weak at, and that's what they exploit. That's what they exploit. They don't try to meet you where you at. You know, if you a team that like to run power football, power run game, guess what we gonna do? We gonna stack the box. You know, we're gonna stack the box like a Whopper with extra cheese. That's just what it is. But you know, when you start to like accommodate guys, or he can go 12, so let's pace ourselves and like, oh, shit like that. Do what you do. Do what you do. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, pride comes before the fall. If he ain't willing to switch it up, and at this point, he can bring all the specialists he want in. John David Jackson, Buddy McGurf, Andre Rozier. He can, you know, get 1,000 guys that are phenomenal, you know, phenomenal fighters that switch hits, that great athletes. But oh, Yellow, like, there's things that need to be changed. There are things that need to be changed. You know, and if I'm Terence Crawford, then it's like, also, I want to be compensated at the table. I want to be the ace. I don't have to fucking rematch you. I don't give a fuck about these belts. You know what I'm saying? I can go down to 60 and do my thing. So at the end of the day, I really want to be heavily compensated for this fight. Because I won. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, I don't have to be chivalrous, and just because you gave me an opportunity, I give you an opportunity. Like, no. But he will fight Canelo. The money, if I'm him, the money got to be right. I know Canelo had a surgery and all this stuff. He probably have a tune-up fight, something in that nature or whatever. He probably have a tune-up fight, and you know, and whatever. But at the end of the day, if he ain't gonna work on his conditioning and work on his jabbing, you know, and stick to it, you know what I'm saying, not for a round or two, don't get killed. And that's just the beginning. You know, and that's just the beginning. And that's just the beginning. So, no, Bud's a dog. You know, really, most people say he should just ride off into the sunset. But hey, when it's money to get, you got to get it. I feel him. When it's money to get, you got to get it. Because when you done, you want to be done. You don't want to be able to have to come back and have to do this and have to do that. You don't want to do that. Once you're done, you want to be able to be done and financially secure. And from what it sounds like, he does a good job with his finances. You know? Everybody want to, you know, they got it and they want to spend it. They want to spend it like they got it. Now, I tell people all the time, just because your finances here don't mean you got to live there, especially as a man. That's a red flag. A man that overspend, like, to me, that's a huge red flag. You know, we minimalists. I ain't saying you should, you know, enjoy yourself, but overspending and consistently impulsive spend, we all do that from time to time. But on a consistent basis, and a point where recreational things supersede, you know, priorities, like real priorities, likes, rent, gas, children, you know what I'm saying? Groceries, you know? I will tell women that's a red flag. A guy that can't prioritize, you know, needs over recreational things, that's it's not a man, you know. But hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link tree, find me on Facebook, X, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you girls and guys think in the comment section. Other than that, man, it is what it is, or it is what it ain't. They gonna get it on again. Probably at some point, Canelo can change his mind also. You know, Triple G is talking about coming back. Talking about he might fight again. You probably hear me and making a great point about his resume being trash. So we'll see what it is or what it ain't, man. But I mean, like I said before, I wasn't You know, I wouldn't expect much anything else from a competitor to want to get his lick back. But you know, they start off with conditioning and start off with a consistent jab. But in year 59,000 for Canelo, is that a possibility? You got to ask yourself, is that a possibility? So who knows, man? But hey, hit the link tree. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine. Appreciate the love, support. Find me everywhere in the link tree. Join the Patreon. So I appreciate y'all. Peace.